If you want chickens that grow up trusting you and coming when you call and eating out of the palm of your hand, it starts when they're chicks.
If you are someone who is going to be bringing home chicks for the first time this spring, first 6 weeks is where people get overwhelmed fast and things go sideways very quickly. It's also where mistakes happen. So today I'm going to walk you through what those first 6 weeks actually look like, what you actually need and what you do not need, and the little things I've learned along the way that I wish someone had told me before I placed my order for chicks. I am not a perfect chicken owner. I make mistakes, but I'm going to pass along those mistakes to you so that hopefully you will not make the same ones. I'm still learning every single day, but you don't have to get things absolutely perfect in order to raise healthy chicks that are going to feed you and your family. So the first thing I want to talk about is before your chicks ever get there is you need to know what kind of chickens you want, why you're getting chickens. You need to know what kind of chickens can survive and thrive in the climate that you live in. For instance, if you are a first-time chicken owner, I don't think it would be the wisest thing for you to buy 10 silky chickens in northern Michigan and expect to have great results. I'm sure there's someone out there who has done that, but for the average beginner chicken, that's probably not the smartest thing to do. Certain chickens acclimate a lot better in different kinds of weather. For instance, there are chickens that have feathers on their leg, and they're typically going to be a lot better in a cooler climate. There are chickens that do better in warmer climates. There are chickens that lay a lot more often than other chickens. So if egg production is your biggest reason for getting chickens, you're going to want to pick a chicken that lays a lot of eggs per year. If you have goals of selling eggs and you want colorful eggs, you'll need to know what kind of breeds lay what color eggs, and if you want to collect the rainbow. You want to know that if you want 5 chicks, you better build space for 10 chickens because chicken math happens to every single one of us. A cooler climate is going to need a very cold hardy breed. A warm climate is going to need a breed that can acclimate to that fast. Some breeds just aren't for beginners. So here I have set up all of the things that I think any beginner chick owner should have, with a couple things I'm going to add for this next coming season of chicks because I am myself getting more chicks, at least 8 more, and I have things that I've learned that I want to do better for my next set, and that is when I'm going to implement those. But this is what got us through this last spring, and it did great. It did just fine. It just wasn't the best, and I'm always trying to get at least 1% better all the time. So the first thing is you're going to want somewhere for your chicks to be. Your chicks can be in a brooder that you build. They can be in a pop-up tent like this. Can be in the coop that you are starting them in. Just know that they don't need a ton of room when they first start, and they're most likely going to be a lot easier for you to care for if they're in something like this that you can easily scoop them out to clean, things like that. The next thing is I will typically line the bottom of this when they are very little with puppy pads. It makes cleaning so much easier. This one got really yucky. I'm gonna have to get another one before this season comes because the food got caked on really bad underneath the pine shavings. So that's not something I'm gonna do again. I'm gonna definitely put down the puppy pads, and hopefully my experience with cleaning and keeping my chicks clean will be a lot easier. You tend to have your chickens or your chicks inside the house when you first get them, especially if you're getting them in early spring when it can still be quite cold in some places. So having a small area that you can get to easily and clean easily is going to be key. You're also going to want to make sure that your area can be closed up like this one can here, because chicks learn to jump out a lot faster than you probably know. Another key I want to introduce is that if you have a cord that will be coming in, like for instance, how this warmer plate will go inside and the cord has to stick out, and you get one of these cheaper tents, just know that creatures like cats can unzip it and get inside the tent. Don't ask me how I know. Another thing that I think every single chick owner should switch to is from a heat lamp to a warmer. These are so much safer, and they very much imitate how a mama hen is gonna sit on her chicks. You are gonna have a lot happier chicks if you have one of these. Take it from me, last season when we bought 4 of our chicks, we had one that cried constantly because she was so much smaller than the other chicks and the heat lamp was just too far. When she got this warming plate and she was able to get underneath here and get nice and warm like she would underneath an actual mama hen, she was so much happier. Chicks are going to be a lot like when you get a puppy and you take them away from your mom a little bit too soon and they whelp and they cry. Chicks are very, very similar. I think their noise is actually a little bit more annoying, to be honest. And this is something that I cannot recommend. And also, it's a lot safer, okay? You're not going to have as much of a fire risk as you do. Obviously, with any electrical, there's a risk of fire, but it's going to be a lot less because this doesn't get anywhere near as hot. And then if you don't have the pine shavings, you have a puppy pad, then you also have eliminated that fire risk with that as well. And of course, you're going to need a way to feed and water your chickens. And as you'll see, I do have a feeder here that has been loved and loved. We don't just buy things for videos here. We actually show you the things that we use. This is going to be great for feeding your chicks. There's also the row ones if you have quite a bit of chicks. We typically last year only had 4 or 5 at a time, so this worked out really, really well. I don't have a waterer to show you because this year we are going to be implementing the nipple waterer, which is going to make our lives so much easier. I feel like the grossest thing when you have chicks is if you have a feeder that is similar to this but open, is they get the pine shavings and their poop inside of the water. With a nipple waterer, I have seen where you've been able to train a chick very fast and get them to pick up on that nipple waterer, and it makes so much less of a mess. With all of the things that I showed you, you are gonna have a way easier time cleaning. You're gonna have less dust. You're gonna have less poop to clean out of things. They will still jump on this type of thing and roost and poop in here, so just be aware of that. If you think of a better feeder or if you know of a better one, leave it down in the comments. I'm happy to get all the suggestions I can. Like I've said multiple times, I'm still learning myself. Again, if a nipple water is too much for you to figure out things like that, all of the basic things that you find at your local supply store on Amazon are really good. I have a list in the description of all the things that I use, whether you are wanting to be as simple as possible or as advanced as possible. You can take a look at that and decide what fits you and your family and your needs better. For instance, I work from home, so I am able to get to my chicks and clean them and do whatever they need to if I hear a problem going on. But if you're gonna have your chicks where you have to leave them during the day because you're going to your job, you're probably gonna wanna automate and keep things as clean as possible. So you'll wanna have options, and I will make sure that you guys have those at Amazon shopping list. So what does week 1 through 6 with brand new chicks look like for you? Let's go through it. So week 1, you are going to get your chicks in, okay? Once you get those chicks in, they will most likely come with some sort of instructions. You're gonna wanna give them some sort of vitamin boost. I will typically give them electrolytes and some sort of booster. I have even seen people say that you can scramble an egg and let them eat that, and that'll also give them a lot of nutrients that they need. Make sure that you get them and you dip their little beak into some water so that they know that that's what the water is. If you're doing the nipple water, you're gonna wanna make sure that you point that out, have them do it a couple times, and they will figure it out. If you have chicks that are chirping and running around, that means they are happy and healthy. If your chicks are looking a little bit lethargic and they're not doing as much, that probably means they're cold. You're gonna wanna make sure that your chicks are pretty warm. I wanna say it's about 100 degrees for the first week or two, and then you can bring it down a couple degrees every bit after that until they're fully feathered. But typically your top 2 things that you're gonna wanna watch when you first get your chicks are for pasty butt and making sure that they are warm enough. This happens often to chicks, especially in chips that you're getting shipped from somewhere. What happens is the poop isn't coming out the way that it's supposed to, and it's not anything that you can really prevent on your own. It just happens to a lot of chicks, but you do need to keep an eye on it and keep them clean. One of the things that I like to do is I will soak their little bottom in a warm, wet washcloth and get that nice and broken up, and you will want to make sure that you keep checking those chicks because it is something that can be deadly. Weeks 2 and 3, your chicks are gonna get a lot more curious. They remind me of cats so much, the way that chicks are. They are so curious. New noises kind of freak them out, and then they wanna go investigate, and that can lead to issues also. You're gonna wanna make sure that you never have a open thing of water in your chicken's area. Ask me how I know. Unfortunately, I wanted to give my mama hen some water because she had just had those babies. She had them in the middle of July. It was so hot. Left the water in there. I came back and 2 chicks were inside the waterer. So just know that they can move a lot faster than you might think they can. They can jump higher than you think they can. They can get themselves into sticky situations. Weeks 4 to 6, your chicks are gonna look so completely different from those cute little fluff balls that you got in the mail just a few weeks before that. They are going to look like icky teenagers. They're gonna be half fluff, half feathers, figuring themselves out. If you got a rooster, you're gonna be able to start to see those little parts of them come through. If you ordered all pullets and you see chicks looking a little bit different than the rest of them, then you probably ended up with a rooster, and now is the time to figure out what you're gonna do with that rooster. Your chicks are going to need less heat and more space at this time, so you're gonna wanna be thinking about where their permanent structure is when they fully grow out of their brooder. You want chickens that love to be around you and come to you when you call them. You're gonna wanna also handle your chicks as much as possible. The way that I do that is we get down, we offer our hand out, we let them crawl onto our hand. Try not to come down and swoop on them like you're an actual predator to them, and it will go a lot better for you. Like, this is my rooster. I've had him since, he was 2 days old. He and I are very much bonded. He comes to me pretty often. Right now his girls are eating, so he is busy. He is watching out, making sure that they are safe. But a tip I have for you is to get some of the chick starter wet and make it just a little bit beyond damp. Crumble it up in your hand, offer it out. Your chicks will come and eat out of your hand. They will love it. I tap on the glass just like how a rooster would tidbit his chicks to come and eat. I tap on the bowl, whatever. It gets their attention. They eat out of my hand, and they are a lot more likely to be cuddly, happy chicks that you and your family can have on a more pet-friendly level if that's what you're looking for. And a lot of things you're gonna feel like you're doing them wrong, but you're not doing them wrong. It's just the way chickens go. Observation is what's gonna matter the most, is making sure that you are observing your chickens, you're understanding how they are on a day-to-day basis so that when things are off, you know when to take action. This is also when you're gonna wanna start thinking about things like having a first aid kit on hand, because chickens can be brutal to each other. They start so early establishing the pecking order and they can be mean to each other, causing little pecks and things, especially if you ended up with more than one rooster, they can go at each other. So keeping things on hand like VetRx and your typical topical solutions that are gonna help with cuts and bruises, those are all gonna be in the Amazon list as well if you don't know what to look for. I think that it's very important to know that good chicken owners are not perfect. I love my chickens like most people love their dogs or their cats, and I have made many mistakes that have led to the demise of some chickens. As you may have noticed, I have that video that is called 5 Mistakes That Cost Me My Entire First Flock. You can see all the things that I did wrong with my first flock so that you can learn from them, and I hope that by watching this video about chicks first, you never get to that spot because you are observant, you take care, but even when you do all the things right, chickens still have a tendency to want to put themselves in precarious situations that they don't always survive. So just know that good chicken owners aren't perfect, they are attentive. They care and they try and watch for things so that they can do it better the next time if they need to. If you are watching your chicks, adjusting when things aren't working, and asking a lot of questions, you are doing a good job. Practical will always come first here at my homestead/hobby farm. And as long as you care about your chickens and try and make things better for them and keep them safe and happy and healthy, you are doing a good job. I actually have a free guide to your first 6 weeks with chickens with all the things that you do and don't need and some things to watch out for if this video went a little bit too fast for you and you want to have something to refer back to. It is January 1st today, and you might not be getting your chicks until April, so I understand you might forget some things. So I will leave that in the description as well. Feel free to grab that so you don't feel like you're constantly guessing at this game of raising chicks.